Victorious FM, brought to you by Victorious Entrepreneurs. Here's your host, single mum, entrepreneur and brain injury survivor, Michelle Williams.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Victorious FM, where every week I'll be introducing you to inspiring women who have gone after their dreams and refused to give up even in the face of extreme adversity. We'll be diving into her victories and her defeats and discovering the lessons that she's learned along the way, all with the aim of inspiring you to step into your own unique power to create a business and life that you love. And this week I was joined by the amazing Amber Christine, the creator of the Untitled Movement, a private community for multi-passionate women to feel empowered about being and having more than one purpose. Amber is also a visual brand storyteller and helps her clients get their message out beautifully, authentically and powerfully. During this episode, we talk about the devastating and heartbreaking adversity that Amber faced through the loss of her 25-week-old baby son, and how, from the depths of depression and despair, she turned her life around to find new passion and purpose. And we discuss how these adversities shaped Amber into the strong, multi-passionate powerhouse that she is today, and how she's now helping other multi-potentialite women to find their purpose too. As a creative, multi-passionate entrepreneur myself, I found this interview with Amber so inspiring, and I'm sure that you will too. Hello and welcome to another episode of Victorious FM, where I'm really delighted to introduce Amber Christine. Welcome so much to Victorious FM today, Amber.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure, because obviously I connected with you. I sort of told you a little bit about the fact that I'd launched this podcast, Victorious FM, which is all about celebrating women's triumph over adversity. And I know that you've got a really inspiring story of triumph over adversity. And I wonder if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit more about your victorious story and how some of the adversity that you've been through in your life has actually brought you out onto the entrepreneurial path that you're now on.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I have to tell you, I have my little one here with me right now.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit sick at the moment, so you might hear some grumbling and coughing.
That is absolutely fine. And I'm going to give a shout out to him as well, because we've got Brecca, a year and a half old. A lot of my audience are, they're all women in business, but you know, a lot of mums. So I'm sure that everybody can relate to running a business around your children, so that's fine. If we hear Brecken's little chatters, no worries at all. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so it kind of I was living a normal life, kind of semi-normal, you know. My husband and I got married, and right after we had gotten married, we got pregnant on our honeymoon. And things were normal. I was kind of just going in for a routine checkup. It was my 20 week appointment, it was my sugar test appointment. And I went in to drink the drink, and we were kind of waiting there. My sister was in town visiting, and they went to go check, you know, if everything was okay. And in that moment, we found out that there was no heartbeat. And those words, you know, that was like the most traumatic set of words that I've ever heard, ever experienced in my life. And I just remember like the all, you know, how in movies when time kind of, they slow it down. That's really what it was. And the grief that came to my husband's face, it, you know, that killed me even more.
Yeah.
So, and really it was just a very traumatic experience. I had never even thought about that happening, never even knew that it could happen that late on. I was 25 weeks. So the experience was rough. I ended up having to go to the hospital, and they had to induce me so that I had to give birth to a sleeping baby.
I'm
so that was
so sorry to hear that. That's awful. I mean, I had 2 pregnancy losses myself, and so I know those words. There is no heartbeat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had that twice, so I completely sympathise, and I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And honestly, that was the thing that, afterward shocked me. I got floods of messages from women who said that it had happened to them and that they had experienced something similar, or they knew somebody who went through it. And it was just kind of like, nobody talks about it. Nobody, why are we hiding behind Messenger talking about this? Like, why isn't this more vocal? Not that anyone could be prepared for those words or anything like that, because that's honestly the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. Like, I'll do natural childbirth again before I experience that pain on my heart. But yeah, it was just kind of like a hush hush thing that nobody really talks about, and that was very shocking to me.
Yeah, and I think you go into a pregnancy, don't you, just full of excitement about the future, and you sort of conjure up images of what your child's going to be like, and you never expect to hear those words, do you?
Yeah, no, not at all.
No.
But you know what? And after it had happened, I just wanted to love we also have he's now 7, but at the time I think he was around 3. I wanted to love him harder. I didn't want to yell or put him in timeout or anything. And I just in that short amount of time, it sparked something inside of me, and then said, "Wow, like life is real." Life is real, and it is raw, and it is happening to me, and I better start freaking living,
Yeah, because I know you hit a real rock bottom, didn't you? Before I think you realised that you needed to kind of make a change. Is that right?
Yeah. So I actually I didn't really allow myself time to grieve. I wanted to have a baby inside of me again. I felt very empty. I felt sad. I was very sad. But something just kept telling me that I was supposed to be pregnant. I was supposed to have a baby in my belly. So I didn't really take too much time. I just kept trying to move forward because I just knew that life, like I said, life was happening. So we got pregnant shortly after. It was a very, very anxious pregnancy. But we delivered a healthy baby boy in April of 2016. And he was healthy and everything was perfect. And then, I didn't want to let him leave my sight or my arms or anything. And that really was when it hit me. That's when I got into the depression and I hit the lows. And that's when I started really grieving badly, not wanting to get off the couch. That I think that was more my rock bottom, because I had realized that I just pushed the pain aside. And then of course, I'm sure postpartum depression played a little bit of a role.
Yeah.
And so I spent a couple months on the couch.
Yeah. And like you said, probably not giving yourself time initially to actually deal with that grief and kind of come to terms with it, really. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of when, like, I was at my lowest point. I honestly, I had said to my husband, at one point we were kind of arguing over finances because I wasn't back to work and I wanted to stay home, but staying home was really making me worse because I wasn't doing anything with myself or my life. And I just, I just was in a really bad spot, and I felt really unfulfilled, and I just felt like very numb, just very numb at that point. And I said to my husband, I said, I don't want to be here anymore. And he said, what are you going to do? Move back to New Jersey? And I joke about this now because I can. But I really didn't, I said, I didn't want to be here. I didn't know what I was living for anymore, and that's kind of at the spot that I was.
And so how did you go from that to kind of where you are now? What happened to? So
literally, I mean, it had to have been within days of that statement, because that just saying that statement was scary to me. That those thoughts running through my head was very scary to me, because I'm a pretty happy person. So within a few days, my sister actually, she sent me a message of this opportunity to work online and get in shape. And I thought, I have to do it. I said, I've loved fitness my whole life, and I need to start, or I don't need to. Well, at the time I need to A, get off the couch. I need to make some money. And C, I need to love something. I need to find passion again.
And feel like a real sense of purpose as well, I guess.
Exactly. I just needed that direction. I lost all my direction, because I was like, what am I doing with my life? And a lot of it was guilt too. I'm like, what did I do to cause this? Why, what am I being punished for, type of thing. So I felt like I really needed to turn my life around and start doing things the right way, or just do something better than the way that I was doing them, because I just knew that it wasn't working up until that point.
I completely relate to what you're saying about punishing yourself, feeling guilty, because I had those same feelings over my pregnancy. My pregnancy losses, either you question yourself, you what did I do wrong? Did I eat something wrong? Didn't I eat the right things? You kind of go through everything, and I think naturally look to blame yourself. And of course it is nothing that you have done wrong or I've done wrong. It's sadly one of those things that happens. But I know for me, I mean, just to go through quickly about one of my pregnancy losses, because I had two, but I was actually on my second pregnancy fired. Well, actually it was my third pregnancy. I was fired from my job for being pregnant, and the whole stress of it sort of, I actually lost the baby, and I went through a year-long sex discrimination tribunal, which I won. But of course the grief of losing that baby, it kind of made me never want to go back to the corporate world again. So it's the thing that forced me onto my entrepreneurial journey, and it kind of sounds similar. We haven't obviously gone on, but is that right? I'm getting the sense of that this awful thing that has happened to you has led you onto this entrepreneurial path.
Yeah, I mean, at that moment in my life, I was just trying to get through the day, and even honestly, even before it happened, I was just going through the motions, okay, I'm just going to work this job to make some money, wake up, eat, sleep, repeat. And it's weird, because looking back now, even when I was younger, that was never my intention. My intentions were to live life to the fullest and to have this amazing life and do amazing things. And I always knew that I was made for big things. But here I was just going through the motions every day. And I think that when the event happened, that really was well, shit, what am I doing? Why Why am I living life like this when it could, at any moment, everything could be taken from me?
I don't know, did you feel, I know certainly I kind of felt like I was heading for a nervous breakdown, because it's it's like I was having a out of body experience, and that all I can say, I've got things that now I still feel guilty for, because when I lost my second baby, I had Harvey, he's 21 now, but he was maybe I think 3 years old, and he was talking to me, but I didn't hear him. I was so consumed with grief and anxiety, and that I feel so guilty now, because he obviously was tiny and he was trying to talk to me and tell me things, and it was just noise to me, and I couldn't seem to focus on anything because I was so consumed and wrapped up in this horrible grief and stress and worry. So is that kind of how it was for you as well?
Yeah, exactly. And it was just kind of like, my son was about 3 when it happened. And like I said, we had a baby directly after. So now I'm a mother of 2, and I'm grieving and dealing with postpartum. And so, yeah, I definitely felt like that. I remember we put him in daycare, and when 5 o'clock would come around, I would get such bad anxiety, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do with him? I have to breastfeed the baby, and I'm going to have to sit on the floor with him and do puzzles, but I need to cook dinner. And I was just very overwhelmed with for nothing. But it was really just because of my grief that I was so overwhelmed that, I couldn't even comprehend how I was supposed to take care of 2 babies when I couldn't even pick myself up off the couch, at that moment.
Yeah. So what you went into, because you said that an opportunity came up, and it was obviously you thought it would help you to take care of yourself and provide an opportunity. So what was that, and how did it help you?
Sure. It was an MLM company. I'm sure you've probably heard of it. It's called Beachbody.
I personally haven't. I don't know if it's in the UK or not, but I'm sure my listeners may have heard of it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think just last year they launched in the UK. So it's probably fairly new over there. But here it's a pretty big thing. It's basically at-home workouts and meal replacement shakes.
Okay.
But the nutritional quality for them is pretty high, and really it was just an accountability group and a personal growth. When I joined, it was like, okay, you should be reading for at least 10 minutes a day, and doing your workout, and eating healthy, and drinking your shake, and it was like business building activities. I had group meetings every week with my team, and it did amazing things for me. Like immediately, as soon as I signed up, I felt a shift. I felt the shift. It was exactly what I needed in that moment to kick my butt into gear and to really feel a part of something again, and to feel like I was contributing to my family,
Do you think it was like 2 things? One, you had to like a new direction, new sense of purpose, but also the fact this was like a health exercise type program, because obviously, this exercise, it releases all of those endorphins, doesn't it? I know when I've had periods in my life when I have felt so overwhelmed and, depressed, but the thing that really I think has helped me is I used to love running, so long distance running, because of the endorphins that released. So do you think it was a mixture of those 2 things? You had a new direction, but also the fact that you were exercising?
Yes, and I'm a runner too, long distance. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's just a great release, isn't it? And I think, whenever I've gone through difficult times in my life, after I've been out for a run, I literally feel invincible. I feel like I can deal with anything. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's really that's a huge part of it is the mental aspect. Just when you're sitting with your thoughts and they're all negative and you don't know how to get out of that space, just getting up and moving your body shakes up that negative energy. It gets rid of the old stagnant energy, and it, like you said, it releases endorphins, and then, like, you know, you're shaking, and then the reading on top of that, the personal growth, and you know, being a part of something, and I really am all about balance, and I was off balance, so I think it was a accumulation of all of those things, and it was perfect. It was perfect timing, and I don't believe in coincidences. So I knew that it was exactly what I needed at that time. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I kind of look back on some of the things that have happened in my life, and when you say you don't believe in coincidence, I kind of feel the same, because some of the things that have happened in my life, including, you know, my pregnancy losses, they're obviously so devastating. But when I look back, they are those things that have put me on a new path. I would never have started my entrepreneurial journey if I hadn't experienced. So I look back and I think, okay, it was a horrible lesson, if you want to call it that, a horrible lesson to learn. But I did learn things from it, because when I then, you know, I went on to have my second child, Elliot, who's coming up. He's actually coming along the pathway now. So my dog started to bark as well. So just as I mentioned his name, Elliot, he's walking along the path to come home now, and he's nearly 18 years old. But when I went on to have him after suffering 2 pregnancy losses, I was just so full of gratitude that I've had 2 children. Some people you're not lucky enough to have any children at all. And I think whatever I've experienced in my life, I try not to focus on the negatives, and I try to look at whatever positives I can, or whatever learnings I can from those situations. Is that something that you feel you have done and has helped you through your challenges and adversities?
Exactly. I mean, I truly believe that everything unfortunately happens the way that it's meant to happen. Every successful person I talk to has had to overcome something to get to where they are. I believe that there's usually an event or a series of events, but usually there's one catalyst that really propels us forward, that kick in the butt that says it's go time. You know, it's time to start living life on your own terms, and not the way that, you know, other people say you should live life. Because your life and your circumstances are completely different from everybody else's. So I truly believe that 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. So obviously, you went on to do this multi-level marketing with this, obviously health, in this health niche. I know that's not where you are now. So where did that then lead you to the point that you are now?
Yeah. So I actually ended up leaving the company. Oh, I got another one awake now. I actually ended up leaving the company in August and going off on my own. What I noticed was, when I was coaching women about their health and fitness, I was really focused on the mindset work that went behind it, getting in the right mindset mentally. So I just saw that the possibilities were really endless, and I started to believe that maybe I should be doing things on my own. So that's kind of where I birthed my own business, and now I am basically focusing on something that I enjoy doing, which is graphics, and really empowering women to basically stop living life just going through the motions, to really take life on and follow their passions and turn them into businesses if they want to. But just really stop living lives that they hate or they're not satisfied with.
Yeah, and I love that, because life's too short, isn't it, really, to do that. Yeah. And I think sometimes you only do realise that when you have faced adversity. Sorry, I got distracted there because my son's come in. Actually, as I said, my dog's running around jingling, so I don't know if you can hear that. So I got a little bit distracted there. But the point that yeah, it's all broken out here. But the point that I really want to get across, and the reason that I started Victorious Entrepreneurs and Victorious FM, is because I really want to inspire women that we all have the choice of how we respond to our life's challenges, and we can decide if we want to be the victim or victress of our own lives. And this has actually come about because I suffered a brain hemorrhage 3 years ago, and I obviously have survived, which is a miracle in itself, because it's something that most people don't survive. It prevented me from working for 3 years, and I had built up a business over the previous 15 years, an online business, as a single parent. But that business has survived also. And so I feel victorious, the fact that I've survived and my original business, the Craft Academy, has survived. And that's really where my inspiration comes from Victorious Entrepreneurs, because although it's a huge challenge for me now, sort of starting up a new venture with Victorious Entrepreneurs, because I do struggle with sort of cognitive issues around planning, organisation, concentration, all cognitive things, all the things you need as an entrepreneur. I've just had to find a different way of doing things, and so I'm hoping that my story will inspire others, but also speaking to other people like yourselves that have gone through adversity, and actually hearing the stories about how sometimes these adversities that we go through actually do take us onto a different path. So I'm finding what you're telling me really, really inspiring. But apart from that, obviously you mentioned about the benefits of exercise and positive thinking and things like that. Do you have any other kind of like daily rituals or routines which keep you in a positive frame of mind and focused on success?
Yeah, I basically I call them non-negotiables. They're things that it's like a part of my self-care routine that if I don't do regularly, I can feel it. I feel off. So normally I wake up and I'll read my personal development books or personal growth books, whatever you want to call them. They're usually something to do with growing either spiritually or something that would help me in my business and my leadership skills. I just like investing in myself. So that's usually the first thing that I do in the morning. And then I usually get quiet and I meditate before I do my workout routine. And I do that in the sauna with 432 hertz or binaural waves, sound waves, just really to get quiet with myself and set intentions for the day. And then, like I said, I definitely work out. And I make sure that I take time for myself, aside from as a mom, we don't get a lot of time by ourselves, but I find that if I don't spend time with myself, I'm kind of cranky, and I don't feel as creative or like I have as much energy to give to my children.
Yeah. And then, sorry, carry on. So you mentioned the reading, personal development reading, and meditation, and also your exercising. Is there something else as well you also?
Yeah, and then I honestly, before bed, I like to do journaling. I like to say 3 wins that I had for the day, or just kind of journal out whatever's on my mind, to go to sleep with a clear head and with end the day on a positive note.
Yeah, I love that. So you're starting the day with a positive note, you're ending the day with a positive note. And I love that, because I think as mums, we don't make time for ourselves, certainly, but also as entrepreneurs as well, because particularly if you combine the two, you're a mum and you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes you can make excuses to yourself that I haven't got time to do that, I haven't got time to make time for myself. But I think it's so important, and I think certainly before I got ill, I didn't really make enough time for myself as a single parent, bringing up 2 boys, running a business. But I have certainly made a change in my life that I get up each morning and I make sure I go for like a 3-mile walk with my dog. And I like to do that when it's quiet. I just like to hear the sound of the birds and things like that. So it's not meditation as such, but it's just that time out with yourself. I think it's so important, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And I was going to say that when we were talking about running, even before I knew what meditation was or how to do it, I think that's what running did for me. Or even just just being outside and hashing through your thoughts. That's basically, it's you're getting your workout and you're meditating all in one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know a lot of people, so it's really interesting because obviously I'm having these conversations with really inspiring female entrepreneurs, and it's so interesting that people are coming up with the same things that really help them, and they are talking about what you've just said about meditation, journaling, gratitude, having that time out. But I've also spoken to quite a few people that talk about the power of using affirmations and things like that. Do you tend to do that, or inspirational quotes or anything like that?
Yes. Okay. So I keep usually I'll change it weekly, but I do like the background of my phone. I'll do some affirmations. If I find that I'm struggling with one area in particular, I will say them to myself in the mirror. I also just took a course on, have you heard of it? It's the emotional freedom technique, EFT tapping.
No, but I love it. If you could explain some more, I love the sound of it.
Yeah, so it's basically you tap at the meridian points around your body while saying affirmations. And it's kind of just like you're reprogramming your mind and your body to get rid of your limiting beliefs, and like I said, just like it's like just reprogramming, and it's very awkward at first. I'm not gonna lie, but you basically take your pointer finger and your middle finger and just kind of tap on your wrists and areas on your head and your face. And I hadn't heard much about it, but I'm one of those people who's super open to trying new things, and I did it to actually unblock some stuff to abundance, to attract more abundance into my life recently. So yeah, I truly believe that if you believe in it, it will work, Yeah.
Because do you follow the law of attraction? You're talking about abundance and things like that. Do you follow the law of attraction?
Yes, exactly. I love the law of attraction, the power of positivity, manifestation, all the kind of spiritual stuff. Actually, I ran a half marathon about a year ago this time, and that's kind of when I had my kind of awakening to the spiritual world. While I was running, I kind of shifted and had like this huge epiphany. I heard my dad's voice somehow. Like I was in such a deep state of kind of in the zone while I was running, and it just sparked this kind of spiritual journey, being open to more of the spiritual side of things, and wanting to learn about the law of attraction and manifestation and stuff, and incorporating all that into my life.
I love that, because I think that I certainly have become very much more spiritual and interested in the law of attraction and things like that. And I think that since surviving my brain hemorrhage, I definitely feel much more spiritual, but also because certain people have come into my life, which I don't think are coincidence. Certain people have come into my life at different points of my life that I have, that I've really needed, that have really helped me throughout different challenges. And I look back and I think that wasn't a coincidence. Those people were sent to me. And I feel, I certainly feel that more strongly since having been through what I did with my brain hemorrhage and having survived that. And I think that's where my interest in, more spiritual things and law of attraction comes from. But so that was about a year ago where you became more interested in this. So did you go off and sort of self-study that? How has this sort of come about?
Yeah, so what happened was I just started basically picking my girlfriend's brain, who was she did tarot readings, and I was just like, tell me everything. And I started Googling stuff, and I started following more spiritual people and coming into just learning about everything I could get my hands on, because that was oh, there is more to life than just, this aligns with what I'm feeling. What I'm feeling is that there's got to be more to life than, going through the motions. And so when I opened my mind up to the spiritual world, it was yes, there is more. There's so much more. And it's so interesting that, nobody really talks about this, wonderful, spiritual world and the real magic of life, practicing and bringing gratitude into my life has seriously, it's changed so much for me, and it's just I have the power to choose, and I have the power to rewire my thoughts, and I'm the co-creator of my life. I finally feel this aligns with me. I'm in the driver's seat, whereas for so long I felt like I was on autopilot. I felt like life was driving me around,
Yeah, I think so many of us go through life and think life just happens for us, but we do have control of our destiny. Yes, things are going to happen along the way, which of course we can't control, but do you think, had you not have faced the adversities that you have faced, do you think you would have gone on this spiritual journey as well as your entrepreneurial journey?
No, I honestly, I don't think, well, I don't know. I really think that, what happened was, honestly, I was on the path to not living up to my potential. And I feel unfortunately, I had to go through what I went through in order to kick myself in the butt and say, this is not the life you are meant to live. Yeah. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. So yeah, I think that there always has to be a catalyst. Yeah, I think so. And if not that scenario, then it might have been something different.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, what do you, from the adversities that you have faced, what do you think the biggest lessons that you've learned from those experiences are?
Honestly, the biggest lesson for me is that time here is short. Time here on earth is super short. And it's way too short to be living on somebody else's terms. Yeah. And that I have the power and you have the power, and that we all have the power to design our lives and like I said, co-create. Yeah. We have the power to attract abundance into our lives. We have the power to attract everything. We attract everything. And so if we're negative, we're going to attract negative. And if we're positive, we're going to attract more positive. So the biggest lesson for me really goes back to being in the right mindset and being the co-creator, being in the driver's seat of my own life.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I just wanted to ask you as well, you know, obviously from the adversity that you have faced, what do you now consider to be your biggest triumphs in life?
Definitely overcoming my depression from losing a child.
Yeah. It's such a deep despair, isn't it? Such a dark place. It feels like it's impossible to get out of. So that's why it's so inspiring to speak to you now, because I know how many other women there will be out there that, you know, will perhaps listen to this podcast episode and be inspired by your story. Because I'm not sure what the ratio is of women that actually suffer pregnancy loss. But I think it's 1 in 4 or something. It's alarmingly high. Does that sound about right to you? 1 in 4?
Yeah, I think 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 was. Yeah, I definitely heard.
Yeah, and like you say, it's not, you know, I mean, back when it happened to me, it's sort of going back 22 years and then about 18 years, and it certainly wasn't spoken much about then. And I'm not sure that it's changed much in that time either, because you said yourself that you hadn't really heard about it. So I think it's so inspiring for you, you know, to hear of how low you were and, you know, where you are now and how positive you are now. And one of the other questions that I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned about you start every morning reading a personal development book. So are there any specific or, you know, books that have really, really inspired you and helped you?
Yes. Okay. So one of my favorite books that really helped me, and this is more spiritual. So if you're not open to learning about the spiritual world, it probably isn't the book for you, but it's called E Squared. Mm-hmm. And that would be the E with the 2 on top, by Pam Grout.
That's funny that you said that, because I've got that on Audible. And
you do?
Yeah, I do. I've got it on Audible, but I've got so basically I am a bit of a personal development junkie, and I'll hear about these books that I want to listen to. I struggle. I can read, but I struggle reading since my brain hemorrhage, because it takes so much concentration and wipes me out. So I tend to try and get things on Audible now, and that's one that I have got. It's in my queue to read that. So it's really interesting that you've mentioned that one, and I'll move that up to the top to have a listen to that. So how is that? How would you say that particular book has helped you?
Well, and that was the book that I was reading at the time that I ran that half marathon that sparked my awakening, because in the book she gives you like what are they called? Like little experiments to do to basically prove things aren't what they seem, or to talk about energy and just to do tricks. They're kind of like science experiments, but they're super easy and they're super fun, and it's just something fun. So it really that book propelled me into seeing the world differently and getting excited about life again. Like, there is magic, you know? So that's what it did for me. And I recommend that book to everybody.
Oh, wow. Well, do you know what? As soon as we're finished on this podcast, I'm going to listen to it. You've definitely inspired me to read it. That sounds so great. So in terms of your business now, you know, how specifically are you, you know, helping people? You know, what services are you offering? So I want to talk a little bit about that now before we have to close off.
Yeah, no problem. Basically, I just empower women to live better lives, honestly. And I personally identify with multi-passionate women who have had a series of careers and just are feeling unfulfilled, or really have lost their identities or lost their sense of direction. I really just empower them, motivate them, inspire them, guide them to just live better lives and really just tune in to their intuition and just do things that feel right. And then turn their, take whatever they want to do with their life, whatever they're passionate about, and turn it into a business. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. So one of my businesses I just started back in February that's doing crazy right now is a graphics business. And so I empower them if they want to start their business. Then I basically help them get their business off the ground and build their brand for them and help them, visually tell their story. So I do that with one-on-one coaching and coaching calls. It's really awesome.
I think that's great, because I think there's so many of us women out there who feel like there's meant to be more for us, but unfortunately a large percentage of us don't actually take that step forward to discover what it is. And I think certainly as women we go through different seasons of our life, don't we, where we probably, we might question that a little bit more, what is my purpose? And we may go through raising our children, and it may be that we're so fulfilled raising our children, but later on, perhaps when they've flown the nest, that question might come up again. What's my purpose? And I think it can lead to a real sense of feeling very unfulfilled, can't it, if you don't live your life with purpose? Would you agree with that?
Yes. So one of my biggest things, I empower women to love and admit to and share all their passions with the world, especially us multi-passionate women, because our purpose in life is to find joy and find joy in the journey. So if that means it means just doing everything that your soul desires. And so that's what I try and do. I empower women to own that, to own, if they want to be a runner and a mom and a teacher and an empowerer, and you can be and do and have and see all of the things. You don't have to fit yourself in a box and just narrow it down to one thing or one profession to label yourself as, really. So I actually created something called the Untitled Movement, just saying that we're the multi-passionate women, we're untitled. One title, we're too big for only one title, because that doesn't identify with us. We identify with so many different things that we can't just have one title.
Yeah, I love that. And I would probably definitely fit into that category, really, because my original business was as a creative female entrepreneur. I had have still got a business, the Craft Academy, which started out as a local business creating keepsakes for parents, but it ended up being a really successful online business and membership site, where I basically filmed all of my courses and have them as online courses. So on one side, it's it's a business that survived me not working for 3 years after my brain hemorrhage. So I'm really incredibly proud of that. But it's also what's inspired me to start Victress Entrepreneurs, because I just really want to, as just really inspire women that we all have a choice. But I would say that I'm multi-passionate as well, but I think sometimes you have to listen to your inner voice, don't you? Because I've had that my whole life, that and when I haven't listened to it, and I guess it's instinct as well, when I haven't listened to it, I've regretted it, and so I tend to listen to that now. And somebody told me quite recently that because my experience is in creative, basically, that my target market should be creative female entrepreneurs. But I didn't sit with me, because my life experiences have changed. Yes, I can help creative female entrepreneurs, but my life experience is so, I've gone through so much adversity that I feel that you evolve, don't you? So, and I think that's where, you know, if you are, you know, when you talk about being multi-passionate, I think that as you evolve and as you experience life, you want to help people in different ways. So that's certainly how I feel anyway. And would you agree with that as well in the people that you work with?
100% agree with that. I believe that finding a niche is limiting. I don't think that you need to do that. I think honestly, how I show up is going to be different than you show up. But you need to show up as you, because that's how you call in the people that need you, that you speak to them and they're out there searching for you. And if you're quiet, or if you're trying to be somebody else, or only talking to one type of person, they're not going to find you, because they can't find you because you're not talking.
Yeah.
So I find that narrowing down and honing in on a certain type of person is very limiting. I just believe that everybody should follow their intuition and do what they feel is right. You know, it's very hard to get lost in the online world as an entrepreneur, because there's so much noise. There's people saying that you need to build an email list, and you need a sales funnel, and you should start a podcast, and you should. This is the recipe for success, you know? And it's just like, I call it shiny object syndrome, you know, like they're dangling a shiny object in front of you. So sometimes we get lost, and we try to, we don't listen to our inner voice because we're afraid it's the wrong decision, right? For a very long time, up until probably in January, I believed that I could make it as a graphic designer. Because when I was 10, or around that age, my mom told me that I would never make money as an artist. So I held that belief with me for so long, and every job I took and everything I did, I always tried to get creative with it and do help out with the flyers or posting on social media. And I never realized that all along I could have just followed my heart and been an artist from the start. Because I was trying to find something else. I was trying to find my bigger purpose, right? Just graphic design couldn't be what I'm here for. You know, I downplayed my abilities for a very long time. But all those experiences and everything I went through led me to where I am now. And so they all served a purpose. Like you said, as we evolve, I believe that our path is clear. We may stray from it sometimes, and it might take us a little bit longer to get to where we need to go. But it all serves a purpose.
And I do feel like as we get older as well, we kind of, and this has certainly been the case for me, is that you kind of want to look back on your life and feel that you've made a difference in other people's lives as well, and you've had a real impact. And is that the same for you as well?
Of course. Yeah. I've always known that I was put here to help people. I didn't know how, or, you know, I just knew that I was here for something big. And, and I think that we are all here to learn and to serve and to grow and to love and to find joy. And if we're not doing those things, and finding a balance between all of them, that's when I feel like we start to feel really unfulfilled, because we're not living the way that for the reason that we were put here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Well, we're kind of gonna have to bring the podcast to an end, but I just want to ask you one question before we leave, and that's in basically in light of everything that you've been through. I just wanted to ask if you could sort of go back in time and give your younger self a really good piece of advice. What would that advice be?
I would tell her to listen to her inner voice more than she listens to everybody else.
I love that, because I think sometimes we look for validation from others when we actually already know the answer.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. I had this exact conversation with somebody the other day, that I had this feeling inside me, and so I sought the advice from a really successful female entrepreneur, and she said, always listen to your guy, i.e. your inner voice, because he or she is never wrong. And I completely agree with that. So thank you for that piece of advice. And I just want to ask you as well, if people want to connect with you and find out more about you, how can they do that?
Sure. It's amberchristinenow.com.
Brilliant. Okay. And are you on social media for any listeners to connect with you as well?
Yes, ma'am. I am Passionate Powerhouse.
Passionate Powerhouse is that Instagram?
That's on Instagram. Yeah. I'm on Facebook as well as Amber Christine Now. So you can definitely find me there. But yeah, that's what I consider myself. I'm a powerhouse of a woman. Don't identify as any one particular thing. I just empower women as much as possible.
Well, I've absolutely loved hearing more about your victorious story. It's so inspiring to hear about everything you've been through, and to hear how positive you are now, and the journey that you've been on, and and what you're actually sort of going on to create and achieve. I know it's going to inspire a lot of people to find their victorious as well. I say I'm writing a book at the moment called Finding Your Victorious Within, because I believe that we all have a victorious within us, and a victorious is a woman who is victorious. And I just want to really thank you, because you, to me, are the true definition of a victorious, for overcoming the adversity that you've been through and being such a bright, shining light of inspiration. So thank you so much for joining me today, Amber.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. And I think what you're doing is so great, and it's definitely going to inspire a lot of women. You're helping them not only get their stories out there, but you're also empowering them to tell their stories, because that does, like you said, it helps women know that if they're going through it right now, they know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah, it's certainly the legacy that I would like to leave behind. So I want to thank you for supporting me on this journey and sharing your story. And,
thank you so much.
Yeah, let's keep in touch, and I really look forward to following your journey too as well, Amber.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
And to you, our wonderful Victorious FM listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this interview as much as I have. Don't forget, if you want to find out more about Amber, please either check out the show notes or head over to victoriousentrepreneurs.com, where all of our podcast guests are featured on our website. Please also check out all of our amazing free resources to help you through each stage of starting, launching and growing your own successful business. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to Victorious FM on iTunes or Stitcher to make sure that you don't miss out on another inspiring episode. But until next week, stay victorious.
You're listening to Victorious FM. Victorious Entrepreneurs, for women who are victorious in business and in life.